If you go down to South Park, you'll most certainly have yourself a time. There's hijinks, chaos, and entertainment galore, helmed by 4 friends who live the most abnormal lives in the most nonchalant way. In this video, we'll be exploring perhaps the most offensive and outrageous of the 4, Eric Cartman.
Whatever, I'll do what I want.
Who is known to have very extremist views, from his hate of ginger kids to many other forms of bigotry displayed throughout the show. Hi, I'm Lydia from Screen Portal, and this is the complete timeline of Eric Cartman.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Eric Cartman begins. While the 4 main boys of the show all have their chance to shine, the official pilot, since there is an unaired one that precedes it, centers around Cartman and his encounter with aliens. The episode is literally titled Cartman Gets an Anal Probe. As the season starts with Cartman in a predicament, it's only natural that the first season ends with a focus on him. The first season ends with the episode Cartman's Mom is a Dirty, in which Cartman tries to find out who his father is. He runs into a lot of obstacles since there are so many contenders who slept with his mom. This storyline continues in the second episode of season 2, when it's revealed that his mom is a hermaphrodite and both his mother and his father.
I just thought maybe it would be a little shocking to you.
Oh, well, gee whiz, you think so, Mom?
Later on in the show, he finds out the actual truth, but more on that a bit later. Moving on through the series, circumstances change, but Cartman, for the most part, stays the same.
I'm a cop, and you will respect my authority!
Except for his extremist views getting even more extreme. He goes to some crazy lengths for anything and everything. Nothing is off the table for Cartman. He'll ruin lives, terrorize people, and murder. Eric Cartman gets revenge. Cartman has always been a messed up kid, but I think his biggest turning point to being a full-on psycho is in this season 5 episode, Scott Tenorman Must Die.
Scott Tenorman is going to wish he never met me!
When Scott pranks Cartman by selling him pubes, a vengeful Cartman swears revenge by staging a chili contest. As Scott eats Cartman's chili, he explains what's in the chili, and it's Scott's parents.
Nya 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 nya, I made you eat your parents. Nya 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 nya.
Cartman set up the entire scenario. He knew that would lead on to their murder. He then cut them up, put them into his chili, and made sure Scott scoffed it up. Which is one of the most messed up things Cartman has ever done.
Yes! Oh, let me taste your tears, Scott.
It's later revealed that Scott Tenorman's father is actually also Cartman's, putting to rest the mystery of Cartman's paternal parentage.
You killed your own father, and then you fed him to your half-brother!
But Cartman's pretty pissed, not because he killed his father, but more because Scott is ginger.
My dad was a ginger!
Meaning Cartman is half ginger, and as well established in the show, Cartman just hates gingers.
Ah, nasty, yuck!
The only time when Cartman doesn't hate gingers is when his friends make him look like one in his sleep. So when he wakes up, he believes he is one, and in typical Cartman fashion, he starts a crusade to annihilate all non-gingers.
And we must view the rest of the world as the low-life, dark-skinned rats that they are!
Claiming the only way to fight hate is with more hate. But when he realizes he's been pranked, he puts a stop to the madness he created by singing a song of peace.
That's why we gotta get along, people!
But putting that whole incident aside, he still hates gingers, learning absolutely nothing from the experience. Eric Cartman and his pranks. Eric Cartman is known to go through some extreme lengths for pranks, like in Fat Butt and Pancake Head, where he draws a face on his hand and calls it Jennifer Lopez, claiming his hand has a mind of its own and he isn't pulling a prank.
Miss Lopez, would you like to give Cal a kiss?
Oh, sí, my kisses taste like tacos.
His friends don't buy it, especially Carl, though he does keep up the gag, scoring a record deal and even engaging in a relationship with Ben Affleck. It's only until the end of the episode where Carl says it's possible Cartman was telling the truth that Cartman drops the act and makes fun of Carl for believing in him.
I got you kinda, I got you kinda.
All that just for a prank. And that's not the only time he took a prank too far. In the episode Awesome O, Cartman pretends to be a robot gifted to Butters, who himself is a frequent victim of Cartman's antics.
That's very interesting. Tell Osmo more secrets.
Though the prank takes a turn when Butters reveals to his new robot best friend that he has an embarrassing video of Cartman dressed as Britney Spears.
I've got the whole thing on tape, even him making out with the Justin Timberlake cutout. No way.
Naturally, Cartman can't let this video be seen, so he goes on a vacation with Butters, where he's discovered by movie executives who hire him to be their movie idea generator. In 1 week alone, he came up with 1,000 movie ideas, 800 of which involve Adam Sandler.
Sandler is trapped on an island and falls in love with a coconut.
He is then stolen by the government, who plan to use him as a weapon. And he goes through with it all in desperation just to erase that Britney Spears video. But his ruse was finally foiled when he let go of a fart.
A robot with smelly farts? That doesn't make any sense.
As a result, Butters shows the humiliating video to everyone. Cartman has to get his way. Despite being an evil little brat, Cartman is pretty delusional and sees himself as a hero. In his first appearance as his alter ego the Coon, he finds he isn't getting any attention because another Mars vigilante Mysterion, later revealed to be Kenny, is the one the town loves.
No! Dude, I'm seriously, you're being a copycat! I'll sue you!
So he turns to the dark side and teams up with Professor Chaos, aka Butters, and threatens to blow up the hospital, all to try and get rid of Mysterion so he could be the hero.
I mean, aren't you a good guy? Sometimes blowing up hospitals is for the greater good, Chaos.
And he takes his method of madness even further in the Coon and Friends saga, when he teams up with Dark Lord Cthulhu because his friends of superheroes didn't want to do what he wants. Eventually, he manages to control Cthulhu and tells the Dark Lord what to do, which includes murder, destruction, and sending his former friends to a dark, dark oblivion.
He's going to help me get rid of you guys, so together we can make the world a better place.
Cartman literally became a supervillain just because he didn't get his way. Can Cartman feel guilt? Cartman is not one to show remorse or apologize for his actions. The most notable time he tries to redeem himself is in the episode The Death of Eric Cartman, where he thinks he's a ghost who only Butters can see. He believes that he's stuck as a ghost because he has unfinished business, but in reality his friends are just ignoring him because he ate all the skin off their bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
You ate the skin off of every piece of chicken! Well, I saved you all the chicken part.
He, with the help of Butters, tried to make things right, first by apologizing, then with gift baskets. He even tries to give one to Scott Tenorman, who is at his parents' grave crying. None of this works, obviously, so when he sees on the news that people are being held hostage, he thinks he can't be seen, and so goes to save them. It's only then that his friends acknowledge him again, and Cartman, realizing his mistake, blames Butters and goes back to his old ways.
How stupid are you? So help me God, Butters, I'm gonna get you back for this. I'm going to get you back!
Cartman and his mum. There are probably many reasons why Cartman is the way he is, but one major one is the way his mum coddles him and lets him get away with anything and everything. For example, she aided him in pretending he had Down syndrome so he could beat the kids in the Special Olympics.
I would like to sign my son up, please.
Yeah!
And if you're wondering, yeah, he came last. His mum does occasionally show some resistance, like when she tried to change Cartman in the episodes. This is where she hires the dog whisperer to tame Eric after she realizes she can't control him.
God damn it!
These tricks work, and with some discipline, he starts to become a well-behaved boy. But when Caesar Milan turns down Leanne's advances and leaves because his job is done, she goes back to her old parenting methods and begins giving in to Cartman's demands once more.
Could I perhaps have 2 Mega Rangers?
Yes, darling. You can have whatever you want.
Turning him back into a spoiled brat. It's also suggested plenty of times that Cartman's bigoted behaviour is partly due to his mum's own beliefs. Future Cartman. So throughout the series, Cartman rarely shows divergence from his true colours. But somehow, in 40 years' time, he does change dramatically.
Can you believe it? I'm a rabbi.
In the latest South Park specials, the films pick up 4 decades into the future, and all of the boys have gone their separate ways after a giant fallout. But then, in a very It Chapter 2-like way, Kenny dies, and they're all brought back together. And it's here we see Cartman's dramatic transformation. He is now ironically a rabbi despite making fun of Jewish people as a kid. He also has a wife and 3 adorable children. He is also very helpful when trying to solve the mystery of Kenny's death, since the 2 of them kept in touch unlike the other boys. Their continued correspondence actually makes sense because Kenny, out of the 3 other boys, gets on with Cartman the best, despite him constantly making jibes over how poor he is.
Oh wow, poor people being arrested. What a rare occurrence. Hey, Kenny.
Despite really seeming to have changed into a Jewish man with a family he loves, Carl doesn't buy it. He thinks Cartman is pretending to be Jewish just to prank him.
What's the problem, Kyle?
You know what you're doing, fat ass!
Which, while it'd be extreme to dedicate 40 years of his life just to prank Carl given Cartman's history on the show, it isn't completely unreasonable.
Kyle, you really think I would spend 40 years of my life just to get a rise out of you?
Yes, I do!
Kyle and Cartman probably have the most tumultuous relationship in the entire of South Park. For example, when Cartman was diagnosed with AIDS, Kyle couldn't stop laughing, so Cartman then gave it to Kyle, a story Kyle tells Cartman's wife when they're in the future. But Cartman this time isn't pulling any tricks and has changed for the better. But when Cartman learns Kyle wants to go back in time and change the course of history, he decides he must kill him. Though his motivation for killing Kyle this time isn't out of hate for Kyle, but more to protect his family, since he fears that he'd lose them if they change the past.
I promise you that I will do everything I can to stop Kyle.
Eventually, he shockingly does the right thing and goes back in time with Stan and Kyle to change the course of history. Though Cartman was right in fearing his life would turn out differently. As in the alternate universe, the boys have now established Cartman is homeless, on the street just as bigoted and crass as ever. This to me has to be one of the most heartbreaking moments in the entire show. Despite all the crap Cartman has done to others throughout the years, it was a pleasant surprise to see him as a reformed family man. Only for him to sacrifice it all for the better good, which really is quite tragic. So there you have it, folks, that is the timeline of Eric Cartman. And what's your favourite Cartman moment? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.